Hi, Gary. Your book, Million Dollar Dentistry, was a very good read. I really like your philosophy. You teach people how to treat you. In the case of next level practice, it's very literal. What I like most about Million Dollar Dentistry is that it creates order out of chaos. Even though you haven't grown up in a dental office as I have, I started at the age of 12, you have nailed it. Sitting alongside each staff member, seeing what's done and what could be done better was an awesome move on your part. I made bullet points on the things that stood out for me. The entire office agrees on a standard for a completely healthy mouth. Outstanding balances are dealt with. Zero balance offer is brilliant. It's so important to educate patients. Insurance provides a discount, not a pay a little, get a lot type of arrangement. Patients are properly dealt with, passed from the hygienist, dentist, or assistant to the treatment coordinator to close the case, get an agreement from the patient to show up, and pay in advance, or at least when the case is completed. Educating patients before selling them on treatment is imperative, and this is where our philosophies align the most. I was so excited to read this. I find I have a very high success rate of getting patients to proceed with treatment if they first understand the problem and the consequences if untreated. Present comprehensive preventative care to each and every patient. Do not assume you know how much money they have or can get their hands on. Know their numbers. How can one improve their pockets if there's no baseline data recorded? In the same, you must track statistics each day to predict future cash flow. I recently left an office that had hygienists in particular working at breakneck speed. Patients don't like that. Staff doesn't like that. Patients can tell if they're being treated like a number. Slow down is such great advice. Deal with the problem, child. Keep those who are willing and open. Talk to the negative. And fire the thieves. And fire patients who give you grief. When I was working for my dad, a problem patient who wouldn't go away took an immense amount of his time, to the point where one of his patients who was in the other room waiting got fed up and he walked out. It was highly distressing to my dad, and I could see it all over his face. Be reliable. Pay your bills on time and be on time for your appointments. Use your money wisely. Invest what you would have in the yellow pages into next level practice consulting instead, for example. Quit sending out monthly statements. Pay off high interest debt. Offer 3 payment options. You are not a bank. I like that you include the QSP positioning guide. I saw the same saying posted at my printer's office. You can have 2 out of the 3. You can have good and fast, but it won't be cheap. You can have good and cheap, but it won't be fast. You can have fast and cheap, but it won't be good. Within the chapter on how to use your hygienist profitably, you mentioned that we don't want to go into sales, nor do we want to work the phones, and we don't want to be telemarketers. We love patient education. And I prep the patient for what I expect the dentist will recommend once he or she comes in. I was clapping my hands when I read this. I've seen this work beautifully. Also, the recare coordinator is a great idea. In some offices, they want the hygienist to do this. We end up experiencing feast and famine cycles. Either we're doing appointments by phone or we're seeing patients. I like that there are dual incentives. Having read the 5 love languages, it's refreshing to see that you recognize that not all people are motivated by money. My belief is that it's going to come to me sooner or later, and what I would like in the meantime is appreciation for a job well done. Being that I'm more concerned about being fair than competitive, the incentivizers for the treatment coordinator, recare coordinator, assistants, and hygienist you suggested are brilliant. It's enough to keep the idea of bringing suggestible treatment to the attention of the patients. I found it very interesting that only 17% of new patients accept proposed treatment, but it makes sense, and I've seen it. The rapport has yet to be built. With so many dentists thinking that new patients are the way to build their practice, the logic of simply working on the ones you have is, well, Logical. At one office I was at, they forbid me from making or encouraging next visit appointments. Imagine that. One patient complained bitterly at one time that the doctor who had bought the practice was forcing them to do something they didn't want to do, that the doctor was just trying to get money out of her. Needless to say, I wasn't a fit for that place. So when I read that you shared the same philosophy of at least get them on the books so we can move it around later if need be, I was thrilled. Overall, your system to create better revenue makes complete sense, and I can hardly wait to get started helping others to implement it. The coaching you give in Chapter 9 regarding the 4 key elements in eliminating new patient inefficiency is so helpful. Enlist the help of the team as trusted advisors. Learn the personal motivating values, know and address their fears and concern, and educate the patient on how to participate in your practice. And the metaphor of painting the George Washington Bridge, or Golden Gate in my case, is such a good one. New patients do take a considerable amount of time, and closing on them is, as you've noted, most often unsuccessful. And again, the coaching you offer the dentist in the trust exam is so valuable. Most dentists don't treat this first visit as such. They lose the opportunity to connect and establish trust. Overall, I found your book extremely capable to handle the major factors of financial chaos in dental practices. Next level practices deliver a patient experience that makes them feel good, is experiential instead of run-of-the-mill, and shows patients their welfare and loyalty are first and foremost in the practice. Gary, I look forward to working with you.